For perpendicular lines, same idea as far as how we would go about solving, but when we do the slopes, we have to have something called opposite reciprocals. So we're looking for opposite numbers, and then we're flipping our fraction or our number in a sense. So first, let's just go ahead and find our slopes. So we've got x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're going to solve. So, finding the slope, we do negative 4 minus 2. And then 0 minus a negative 4. So this becomes plus. This becomes negative 6 over 4. But this can reduce. And we could divide those both by 2 and get negative 3/2. So our slope for line J is negative 3/2. For line K, I'm going to do the same thing, find my slope of these 2 points. So 3 minus a negative 3, and 4 minus a negative 5. So again, these become plus. That gives me 6 over 9. And 6 over 9 can reduce by 3. So 3 goes into 6 twice, into 9 3 times. So my new slope for line K is 2/3. So I check to see, do I have the fraction flipped over here? So the reciprocal. So 3/2 should be 2/3, and that is. And the opposite is, here's negative, this should be positive over here, and it is. Okay? So yes, these are perpendicular. And then just so that you have that phrase, you want opposite reciprocal. Okay, so opposite meaning positive and then negative, or negative then positive. Reciprocal meaning flip the fraction. In the bulleted point sign here, it talks about the product being negative 1. So what it's saying is if I took negative 3/2 and 2/3 and I multiplied those, would I get a negative 1? And I should. So we try. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. 2 times 3 is 6. If I divide that, I get negative 1. So when it says the product of the slopes should be negative 1, that's exactly what you could do to check to make sure it is perpendicular if you're not sure. Okay, so opposite reciprocals. Okay, lastly, in part B there, for this one, you have to come up with your 2 points. You also could just count, rise over run. Okay, so let's zoom in here a little bit. So if I'm going from this point here to this point here, I can make a little triangle. And I want to do rise over run, so fall. If I can't rise, I need to fall, and then I can run. So let's count how many we go down. We go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we go down 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So we can call the slope of y1, because they labeled them here, y1 and y2. So the slope of y1 is negative 8 over 8, and that reduces to negative 1. Okay. For my other slope, of line y2, we're going from this point here up and over to this point here. So if I go up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Since I went up, that's a positive 8. And then I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another positive 8. And so I divide and we get 1. So now these are actually opposites and they are reciprocals of each other, because 1 over 1 is still 1 over 1 if you flip it. And if you do our checking method here with the product, if we took 1 times negative 1, we get -1, which is what we're supposed to get if we have opposite reciprocals. So, are these two lines perpendicular? Yes, they are. Okay, let me zoom out. Okay, so all we did was rise over run for that one. Now, we could have taken the 2 points on each line and we could have found slope like this and done the same thing. It would have been obviously more work than just counting. Then, for example 4, it also goes along with perpendicular. So let's knock this one out. Your slope is 1/5. But in order to find an equation that has a perpendicular slope, we need to do the opposite reciprocal. So we need to flip this to be 5/1, which is just 5. And then we need to make it the opposite. So I'm looking at m is -5. The point that my new line is going to go through is 15, -4. And we need to label that x1, y1. So we are given the slope, the point. We need to use point slope form. So we're going to plug into this part. So y minus a -4. Slope is a -5. And then x minus x1 is 15. This becomes a positive. And this is my point slope form. Okay, I can distribute. And -5 times -15 is a positive 75. And if I subtract 4, my new equation would be 75 minus 4, so that's 71. We would get -5x plus 71 for slope-intercept form. I did that kind of fast, so if you need to pause and go back, please do so.